Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for today's video. Today I wanted to talk to you about knowing your worth. So let's jump in. A big unhealed wound that you have endured for most of your life has been to not know your worth. You have been trained and groomed, and you have been taught, indoctrinated to not know your worth from the jump, y'all. From the first few moments in birth, it was presented to some sort of entity somewhere that was working through somebody who knew you were not going to be a worker of iniquity. And untamed, you would find the light. You would see through the darkness. And you would grow to be a powerhouse of success, but also someone with influence on another level. A level, it was marked by God. And you had everybody outmatched, if not brought under certain orchestrations and situations that would keep you captive, to hold you down, and to prevail over you, to monitor you, to control you, to have power over you, as if a piece of property. And that's why you have grown up in the households that you did and were put into captivity by all of the players around you, right? Life's a game, the narcissist always says. But see, it's not a game to us, it's life. It's a war for your soul. At least it is for us. Maybe, in fact, they have already lost theirs, so maybe it is a game to them. Who's to say? Demonic entities or fallen angels are not reincarnated to this place. Now, as Christianity, as in a Bible believer, we don't believe in reincarnation, but we don't know what rules God has placed upon the fallen kingdom. It's going to be different than the kingdom of light, or the ones that choose. You can't look out here at all of these individuals in meat suits and all these rulers and people in leaderships and prominent positions, ones with titles, and think to yourself they're all just humanity working on their soul. You have to know that some of these are plants, some of these are orchestrated beings that have been built into the matrix, and if damned already, from way back when, who knows? It's a theory. I speak on a lot of theory. It's to spark your mind to think down a road of possibility, because if you don't truly look into the possibilities of what could be based on the framework that God has left us with in his word, we will never get anywhere from where we have been. And a lot of times it's just to go back to what already has been, but has been lost or forgotten or misinterpreted on purpose. So it's good to take the framework of the word and stay in its statutes, in its ordinances, in its commandments, but also to look at it on another level. God has given us the spirit of discernment. So with that, let's just say you have the understanding, because I've explained it to you in a lot of ways, at least on my channel. Let's look at different rulerships for different types of people or different regions. There's the way Asia operates doesn't operate like America, but they have their rules and ordinances. They're a little different than ours. And just like that, for every department of leadership in this world and every category of rulership, they have different laws and rules that they have to abide by. Now, I'm not saying that one type of rulership is going to be better than the other, but there are going to be higher elevations of rulerships and lower ones. It's kind of like you have the police department, but then you also have the FBI, and I would say that would be an elevated version, right? It's got different ordinances. And then above that, you have, say, the CIA, right? That's outside the bounds of the walls of the country to go far and abroad, and some of which have immunity, per se. And they have different laws needed to get their situation of work completed, or else nobody would do it. Nobody feel it fair, maybe. But nevertheless, you have to give certain leadership roles certain abilities to be more free. But the idea of that is they are going to be at a higher level of justice in their thinking and in their living than the individuals below them, per se, because they may have been tested and they went through the furnace, and they came out the other side, and they were stripped of all the silver was stripped of all its dross in the fire. Only the good was left, right? And just like that, now that has been a moral breakdown in our society. There's been a moral breakdown in our society in regards to these leadership roles, nevertheless. But I'm using that as an example because somebody in, say, a kingship is going to have more authority, and they're going to have the ability to reach further. But they're also going to be held to a higher standard, a standard that's been tested. It's supposed to be. But that's not what you see today. And that's where this game, the narcissist calls a game, has been all rearranged. And I believe that there is becoming in time, in real time, a changing of these guards, a changing of these rulerships that God's going to raise up. God is raising up at this moment in time individuals to supersede these roles and to put individuals in their rightful place, to give the authority to the rightful heirs, to not allow evil to control and to manipulate populations of people for their use, so they can create more and more corruption, put more and more good individuals away and falsely accused for their own benefit. But just as that, those roles have different authorities, the same thing goes with God and the rulerships here on the earth, or the rulerships in the kingdoms, per se, from the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of darkness. We may not believe in reincarnation as people of faith, of the Christian faith, but look at it from another standpoint. Just as there are rules and ordinances the holy angels believe and follow, they didn't fall, right? When they had the opportunity, they chose to stay and live by the ordinances of heaven and to be in obedience with God, the Almighty. And I bring that up because there is also a kingdom of darkness who defied and were thrown as a fiery beam of lightning to the grounds of the earth. And they are not mere humanity, but they are down here too, and probably amongst us. And that's why I do believe God has placed the firmament in the air to have them locked in here in this prison planet with us, that they can't get out either. And that being said, they have different laws that they have to follow. The fallen angels do that the holy angels do not. It's obvious. They have to operate under certain laws that God has put in place for them. And holy angels have different laws and rules that he has placed for those individuals. You have fallen, the dead fallen, and the living, light, upright, angelic hosts. They have different rules they have to follow. And as that may be, so also may be the fact that if reincarnation is something spoke of, even though it's not a truth for humanity, maybe it is maybe a truth for the fallen ones. Maybe part of their damnation is to reincarnate back here over and over until their final damnation, at least some of them. I'm not talking about the deaths of humanity, but the deaths of the angelic host that chose to fall. They are different beings. And so I do believe that there's a possibility that they may reincarnate over and over on this earth. Not humanity, but these fallen beings as part of the damnation to rule over us. But they don't have to always rule over us. We are in a time of that. It just depends on how the God's people want to or choose to operate. If we choose to walk in a season of uprightness, they will be dethroned. And it may not last forever. It will be for a time. A time could be a generation, say 40 years. It could be 3 generations, 120 years. It could be much shorter or much longer. It just depends on the love, that God's love that people have in their hearts and choose to live by with passion. And so in time and history, you'll find, just looking at the Israelites, they would have those seasons, like when there was the reign of King David. But they would have been ruled by evil lawyers and judges, false prophets, and kings and queens, right? But because David rose up, God rose up in him, a upright authority. You saw it change in the world. And it didn't last forever, but it lasted for generations. And David dethroned kings and kingdoms. David put down over 10,000 men alone. Samson put out 1,000 Philistine soldiers with the ox jaw on the side of a mountain. Samson put down 1,000 Philistine soldiers. And he was a judge, a righteous judge. He wasn't a king or a ruler or a kingship, but he was a judge. Before God placed Saul and David and Solomon and Absalom in kingships, he ruled by judges because God was king. But then the people wanted a king, a literal king. They wanted to look like the rest of the world. They didn't feel important. They were being ruled by Samuel. And Samuel was raised in the inner sanctum of the Lord, behind the veil. He was a holy man. And he said to God, "They hate me, God, they hate me. They want a king. I can't hold them back anymore. What do I do?" And he said, "No, Samuel, they don't hate you. They hate me. And if they want their king, I will give them their king, but I will also give them what kings bring. I will allow them to see what a king can do to its own people. And so they wanted a king so bad, and they chose Saul. Saul was a tall and big man. He was a gigantic man. And they chose him for his stature more than anything. And Saul became possessed in many ways. And when Samuel was told one day to go to see Jesse, he was the father of many, many sons. There were several, I don't know, 10 or 11. And he went to see Jesse, and God had sent him there. And when he was asked to see all of his sons, so he knew who God had appointed for the position to take over where Saul was ruling at some point in time in the future. He wanted to prepare him. And when Jesse brought all of his sons together, Samuel said, "There's one more." And Jesse said, "Well, I have a young boy, but he's out herding the sheep. He doesn't count. He's nothing. He's never going to be anything." And Samuel said, "Bring him to me." Line him up, for I asked to see all, not many of, not some of, not everybody but one. So he called for David, and when David saw Samuel and Samuel saw David, he knew he was the one. The have-not, the nobody, the one that was to be used like a slave to herd the sheep while the others ate at the king's table. And David prepared to build God's temple. And he prepared it so his son could build it, Solomon. David was a man after God's own heart. He killed a lion and a bear with his bare hands to save his sheep. Now that's a true shepherd. You don't see that in the church today, but you do see them asking for your money. People see you and they know you're elevating. They never thought it would be you. You were thrown out there in the field to work as a slave for others' success so they could mirror your image and steal your fruit, and to operate in your essence while you put in all the work. So they could devise evil through their titles, through their legalities as lawyers, judges, kings and queens. Unrighteous. While the burden's put on the people, the righteous people. Some of them, the righteous leaders that should be out there, they're not out there. We need to do better because we hold this destiny. And if we want a destiny swap with these individuals and give them all of our essence and allow them to continue to roll like they roll and operate the way they do, then that's on us. We don't have to. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Because when you align your heart and your mind, your heart space and your mind space, they align together in their true authenticity of their true self, and allow God Almighty to lead all of those alignments, your Heavenly Father, your true self, your head space, and your heart space are all in alignment, you're balanced. You'll be balanced. You'll not only be emotionally balanced, but you will be spiritually balanced. You will be covered. And obedience is similar to faith. Obedience is faith. And to obey rather than to sacrifice is faith in its fruition, in its wholeness. Because you're not running off blind faith, you're running off knowing. Because you're aligned. And when you're aligned, you know. And when you know, you're balanced. And you know that what you are doing will balance out everything, not only in your life, but it'll be from understand to understand, meaning you will know it. But in its fruition, it will be seen by the masses. On the outside, it has to. That's called manifestation. Nothing is blind, y'all. A lot of people will teach you that faith is blind. It's not blind, it's knowing, because you know Him. And when you're the rightful heir, because you have been aligned and balanced, then you know. And people see the fruition of all of the planting that you have done, the seed planting you have done. It may have been slow and steady, and maybe it seemed just like a little bit, or it wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't fast enough. The narcissist always wants everything fast, quick and fast, baby. Well, you didn't work that way. You continue to put in work. You continue to elevate, to grow, slowly, but with purpose. It was slow moving. Everybody around you would talk about you. They would mock you. They would steal from you, but slowly and surely they started to see they couldn't steal from you anymore. So then they tried to oppress you more. But then that didn't work either. So then they tried to take you out. But that didn't work either. And now they see your growth. It's becoming a little bit faster. But it's still steady. It hasn't stopped. It's growing. It's gaining steam, y'all. It's speeding up. And now they can't do anything but sit back and watch you flow, watch you grow, and know that they're collapsing. That the tables have turned, y'all. And that what they used to perpetuate out there as you being the evil one, people are starting to see that it was never you. It's been them all along. They portrayed you as a liar, a cheater, a prostitute, a lazy man, a lazy woman, one with mental issues. It was never you, they're finding out it was never you now. Because your understanding is now come out here and is manifesting to the rest of the flesh out here, to the world out here. It has to. It can't stay inside forever. And now it's manifesting to them because they're seeing your manifestation in your fruition of your fruit that's developing. It was never you. And when you walk like that, when you talk like that, that's what rises up those wings like eagles. That's why you can run and not be weary. That's why you will walk and not faint. Obedience will feed you. Obedience will energize you. And you will rip masks off fake people just by being. Knowing who you are. Who you are. And being in your faith operating by knowing. You will move mountains. And that is what is happening right now. Stay on the path and grow, heal. The world needs you. You weren't just blessed with things, you put the work in. You didn't gain this, whatever mantle you have or anointing. You went through the fire, old school, the way it was supposed to be. You didn't cheat. You didn't take the shortcut. And as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went into the Nebuchadnezzar's flames of fire because they refused to bow down to his idols. Just like that, there you will be. And a fourth will be seen amongst them. And he was the Son of God. The Son of God will show up and he will protect you. Or he will send his legions of archangels and warriors, warlords and soldiers. They will provide for you and they will protect you and give you provision to do all that you need to do. And it will come because of your faith and obedience and walking this thing out. You will lose your family. You will be called crazy by your friends. You lost a lot of friends. You may have lost everything. And God had to start over with you. You had been building your house on the sand, and he had to knock it all down and find you some good land with some good hard rock. And he told you we're going to start all over. And we're going to firm this thing up, and we're going to do it a whole nother way. He said we're going to do it my way. And it ain't going to fall down. It ain't going to collapse. It's going to build legacy. It's going to build life. It's going to succeed, and it's going to have family and fruit. It's going to have legacy. It's going to have royalty. It's going to be regal, y'all. So, fight the good fight of faith. God sees you. And he won't let you down. Till next time, soldier, peace be out.